Hello everyone. I thought I would compare these incandescent string lights with these LED ones. And these LED ones are made to look like incandescent ones, but they still have the LED inside the cap and casing. And something that I found with these is that they are slightly too harsh for me. I mean, in general, I find LED lighting pretty harsh, and I'm much more drawn to like warm white LED lighting. When it comes to string lights, typically that would be described as vintage gold. That's a colorway that I've seen in string lights, and multicolored ones I just find too way too harsh. However, NOMA has come out with a line of really good incandescent style string lights, ones that look like these in warm white and multicolor, but then also ones with classic shades on them like Pickwick and Canterbury Bells, which if you grew up in like the 70s, 80s, you would be very aware of. And I seem to remember my parents having a set of one of those, and somehow that kind of created nostalgia for me. So I've kind of collected quite a few of these NOMA ones, but I was really curious to give another brand a try. So this is Premier. It appears to be one of the UK's biggest Christmas decoration companies. And then we've got the Christmas Workshop, which seems to be one of the two only companies. Am I wording that right? One of two only companies that are doing incandescent string lights. So NOMA is another one, and here's a set of 20 multicolored ones. But yeah, so with this comparison, I'm mainly curious just to see like the difference in hue. I did another video where I was comparing this similar one, which I've never seen before, with this sort of like diamond kind of like, I don't know if diamond's the right word. They do call it something. But anyway, I was curious to compare this with the NOMA ones, and I will link the video up here and in the description. But then I also got this one just to see how these differ to each other, because I'm really curious to see how the light kind of, I think the word is refracts off of this compared to this. But I'm assuming the shades are the same. I mean, it says warm white. I assume, it is, how like it can say warm white for the same company, but then it will look slightly different. I don't know. I've kind of noticed that kind of thing before. Anyway, oh, and interesting. 3.75 lit length, 4.6. See, like there can be some variations, even though it looks the same but different, Anyway, so I'm mainly just going to be comparing this, but I thought I would also chuck this in just to see. So yeah, let's open them up. I'm going to be careful opening this because, not going to lie, I have a feeling I'm probably going to return it. If it's anything like this other set here, I just didn't really like the shade of colour that it produced. So I will probably return these. Okay, let's see. This does not look like... Okay, this is interesting. Wait, so here's the instructions, in case you wanted to pause and read that. But I've not seen this before. This feels really old school, having a mail order form. Accessories order form. Cool. I don't know why, but this just feels like really nostalgic to me and nice for it to be included here. Push-in bulbs. 8 bulbs at $4.50 per pack. I did not know that they did push-in bulbs. I wonder, prices valid until 2026. Okay, so this is, yeah, this is from this year. It says 2025 there. Cool, I didn't know they sold push-in bulbs, because as far as I'm aware, they do not sell incandescent string lights anymore. I had a look at their like full catalogue of products, which is on their wholesale website, and I did not see any incandescent. I might email them just in case, but I'm pretty sure they're not. Okay, this is like really caught up in here. There we go. Right. Yeah, when I think there's a good chance I'm going to return something, especially for something like this, like an electronic item, I really try to make it as untouched as possible, just because I don't want to make it difficult for them and also for the next person, you know? Okay. So here's what the transformer plug is saying, if you want to have a look at that. Yeah, that's just way too cool for me. Let's see if I can... now it looks like it's twinkling, but it's actually, I think, to do with the frame rate of the camera. I think there's a word for it, but there we go. Yeah, I don't like that at all. I think it actually looks a bit cooler on the camera, but it is still too cool for me. Like, this to me is not warm white. That doesn't look warm to me. And then there's different functions on here, so let's just give those a go. Okay, so I think it's that thing where, oh, not a fan of that. Hate that. This setting, I feel like is on pretty much all string lights, but they have a function setting, and I just don't like it at all. So this is kind of like a fading one with some of them off. And the fade is very, very smooth, which is really good, because I find sometimes with the fade one, it like flickers as it fades, or it's like very sudden. This one isn't like that. That was okay. It's okay. With these twinkling ones, I do wish that they kind of faded out rather than being like a sudden on and off. I don't know, maybe I'm just nitpicking, but I just feel like it would look a bit more natural. Okay, cool. So now let's compare it with the incandescent ones. I've already done a video unboxing this, so if you want a more in-depth unboxing of that, definitely check that out. I've linked up here and in the description. Okay, so something I'm really curious to compare is the difference in warmth, because for years, like I said, I've been purchasing, well, not years, probably a year and a half, I've been purchasing the NOMA range of traditional looking string lights, and they give off a really warm hue. I would go and actually, I do have a pair that I could actually like very easily get. It's hanging on a mirror, so I'll go and grab that in a minute. But yeah, let's just compare these two first. See, this is nice. It's like, it's not difficult to look at. I mean, it's obviously bright because you're looking at some lights bunched up. Let's get it similar. It's bright because you're looking at a bunch of bulbs together, but it is, it's not harsh. And if it looks like it's flickering, it's not. I think it's just the camera. I think the word is banding. Now let's compare it with this. Yeah, it's just too harsh. It looks like it's twinkling on the camera, but it is the banding. Let's try and get that fixed. Yeah, it's interesting because the shade is actually very, very similar. but this is not, the color is just not nice to look at to me. But I would assume also the way yeah, like just kind of, I don't know if it's coming up on the camera, but let me just turn this one off. Like, something about LEDs is it's very directional in the way that it lets off light. So I don't know if it can like show up easily, but see how when I go like that, it's like projected down, and when I go like that, I don't know, maybe you guys know what I mean. And I know it's very different because this is a set of 40, this is a set of 150, but like this gives off more of a glow as opposed to this. Like the light just feels very concentrated to where it's coming from, whereas this one, it feels like the light is kind of glowing off of it. Okay, so I'm going to get the NOMA ones just to show you the comparison. Excuse the mess, they were just hanging on a mirror and I just thought I'll just plonk them on. So I think you'll see, yeah, that this is much more warm, the shade of color. And especially if it's going to be in the home, if I was going to choose between these Premier ones and the NOMA ones, the NOMA ones is like the obvious choice to me because it's just no way near as harsh. Like you can really see the difference in color there. Like, let's see them both together. And then if we were to compare them with this, it makes the NOMA ones look quite yellow actually. But I think these kind of have to have that sort of yellowish to them so that they give off a glow in the room. Like for example, I put up Christmas decorations in the kitchen and I've got a garland on top of the cabinets, and I've put these into the garland, and when you turn all the other lights off in the kitchen, it gives us this really nice warm glow from above the cabinets. And I feel like if I had incandescent ones there, they would give a similar type of glow. However, this would just give a sort of garish kind of white, which is not what I'm going for. I would tolerate these outside if I didn't have to look at them all the time. But yeah, it's just giving like, I don't know, the kind of light that you would want when you really need to see something, I don't know, like a football pitch or something, you know? Like, whereas this is a kind of, sorry, hue I meant. Well, also light because of the way LED projects, but this one is much more warm and cozy. Yeah, so I got this power consumption meter because I thought it'd be interesting to compare the power consumption between the two, and then I'm sure it will come in handy for other uses. So I'm just going to actually have a look at the instructions for a second and then I will show you. Okay, I've had a play around and I have figured it out. So currently there is no power going through because it's got 0. So let's put these ones in. So it is drawing 29 volts and using 29 watts. And then take that out. This is 7.8 volts and 4.3 watts. So this is using, like, if I'm calculating this correctly, this is using about a quarter of the power than this. So it really shows you how much little power LED ones are. And also, this is 150 compared to 40. So actually, let me just calculate that. So if you divide both numbers by 150 and then times it by 40 to compare it to these 40 incandescent bulbs, that is 2 volts and 1.1 watts. So it really shows you the difference in power. So if I compare them both again, like 2 and 1 is, if I'm calculating that correctly. So it really shows you how much less power these use. However, these are just so much nicer in my opinion. I think it's one of those things where if you have a lot of lights that you want inside or outside your house, then this is going to bring your electricity bill right down. But personally, I'm really biased. I think incandescent lights look way nicer on the eyes and just look more real and warm and inviting. And I find that with LED lights, it really has to be the right type of light, like the NOMA ones I showed you. So yeah, sadly these will have to be returned. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Another benefit to these is you can, replace the bulbs if a bulb goes, which is more likely with these, unfortunately. But if a bulb goes on this, then you cannot replace it. And sometimes with a strand of LED lights, it could just be the one, it could be like a section. So final thoughts on these comparisons before I do a quick comparison of this at the end is, there are pros and cons to LED and incandescent lights. LED lights use much less power. The bulbs last a lot longer, but with incandescent lights, they use a lot more power, and the bulbs, it seems kind of dirty. And the bulbs do not last as long. But a pro is the hues in incandescent lights are much more warmer, and I would say that that's actually like a very objective thing. I think a lot of people would agree that LED lights tend to be harsher, but as I've shown you with the NOMA ones, you can get LED lighting that has a warmer, more cozy hue. In most strands of LED string lights, if a bulb goes, you cannot replace it. Maybe you could take it to be repaired. I'm not sure how easy or possible that is. But typically, if a bulb goes out, you'd have to replace the whole strand, which is quite wasteful. Whereas with incandescent lights, you just change the bulb that has gone out. But you do need to be careful that when a bulb does go out, that you replace it quickly, because it then adds more of like a load onto the other bulbs, which can cause them to go out faster. And that's why you want a fused bulb, so that it can carry that load a bit better when one goes out. Something that I really wish for LED lighting as the technology improves is if they could figure out a way for the mini lights to be a bit less directional. I've found with the NOMA ones, the actual LED light, which is inside this cap, you might be able to tell, like, if you look in there, it does look like a typical LED string light, but it's inside this cap and casing. The NOMA ones appear to be a bit lower down, so that it's more of a glow in this area. It would be great if, I don't know, as the technology improves, that they're able to make it, still maybe be this high up, but just give more of a glow like incandescent lights do. And I also do think it would be good for the bulbs to be replaceable. In my memory, when LED string lights have kind of gone out or stopped working, which has not been very often, as someone who has a special interest in string lights and has quite a few different sets, it usually tends to be like the whole strand goes out or flickers loads. Like, it never really tends to be just one singular one, really, in my personal experience. I just wish that LED string lights just functioned exactly the same as incandescent ones, where they give off a glow and you can replace the bulb itself rather than the whole strand. I feel like I've rambled quite a bit here, but some of you may still be interested in the comparison between these two, so I will do that right now. The main thing that I was just curious about is, I was talking earlier about how LED lighting just feels way too directional. I just wonder if with the different sort of texture on these bulbs, or I guess you'd call them caps, I'm just curious how the light comes off on them. So here's this one. So this is the normal one on the left. Interesting. I do feel like there is a very slight difference in the hue, maybe? It looks like it's twinkling, but it's the banding. Yeah, interesting. This is definitely more white. I feel like it's not really coming up so well on the camera, but this is more white, ever so slightly. This does have a bit of yellow in it. I'll just get the NOMA ones just to compare once more. Yeah, I mean, you can see the sort of warmness of this, but like, I would say that this is definitely closer to that than it is to this, but this is a bit more acceptable to me. I quite like them, actually. I'm just curious to know if this is supposed to be inspired by some incandescent bulbs that were like this. I'm kind of tempted to keep them, but I have no use for them, and I'm just not sure about the hue that it's giving off. I will just quickly compare it with this. Interesting, because I said with the NOMA ones, you can tell that they look a lot warmer compared to the incandescent ones, almost too warm. However, because of the way LED lighting is, I feel like the glow is more similar, like the ambience is more similar, with the NOMA ones being a lot warmer, or gold, one might say. However, when it comes to the hue, I would say that it's actually much more similarly matched with this set here. But just getting this one, yeah, this is definitely slightly different and slightly cooler. I wouldn't say that it is cool white in like the type of cool white LED string lights you can get, but I also wouldn't say it's warm. This one, I guess, is warm now I'm like seeing it all together. But yeah, it's really interesting. Like, this kind of makes you want to keep hold of this like as like a point of reference rather than returning it. I'm definitely returning this. Also, I'm just going to compare the power consumption. So they are both 150 lights. I believe these are, yeah, these are very close together. This is about 2 centimeters. This is about 2.5 centimeters, which makes sense because, yeah, the box says 3.75 meters, oops, and then 4.6 meters. I wonder why it's different. Maybe they were made. Yeah, so this one, 4.6 meters. The barcode is showing 25, like in the corner. And then this one, 3.75 meters, the barcode is 24. So I imagine they maybe thought to make it a bit wider for 2025. Yeah, so the power consumption here is 7.8 volts and 4.3 watts. So I'm really curious, as they have the same amount of bulbs. Very similar. This one uses just ever so slightly less power. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you. I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, if you have anything to say, I'd love to read in the comments. And yeah, I will see you soon. Bye bye.